Public health. What is the definition of public health? Hi everyone. Today we are going to discuss about public health. Everything about public health, including definition, history, the key terms about public health, core functions, essential services, and major disciplines. Almost everything about public health will be discussed in this video. Stay tuned. I hope you will find it interesting. Hi everyone. We'll discuss everything about public health today. In today's session, we'll discuss, as I told you, even on the timeline, we'll discuss everything, almost everything about public health. First of all, we'll see definitions and the mission. Then public health key terms, history of public health, the public health approach, core functions and essential services of public health. Community health, we see the difference between community health and clinical health. And finally, we will see major disciplines in public health. First of all, let us see definition of public health. According to Winslow, the man whose picture is on the slideshow, public health is the definition and art of preventing disease, prolonging life, and promoting health through the organized efforts and informed choice of society, organizations, public and private communities, as well as individuals. So here we see that there are three things in public health. The first is preventing disease, the second is prolonging life, and the third is promoting health. And it is not only individually, but it is also through organized effort by community, by government and non-governmental organization, and even at the individual level. So through combined efforts, this could be achieved, public health is achieved, and also through informed choice of the society and organized effort. Let us see some key terms about public health. First of all, let us see here what health promotion is. Health promotion involves activities intended to enhance individual and community health well-being. It seeks to increase involvement and control of the individual and community in their own health. For example, improvement of socio-economic status, provision of adequate food, provision of water, also education, clothing, all these basic things which are responsible for the boosting resistance to disease, so strengthening the individual's capacity so as to decrease the occurrence of disease. These activities are under health promotion. Prevention, this is one of the main key terms of public health. It includes it refers to the goal of medicine that are to promote. It includes promotion, preservation, and restoring of health when it is impaired, and to minimize suffering and distress. There are three levels of prevention: primary, secondary, and tertiary. The primary prevention, its objective is promoting health, preventing exposure, and preventing disease. So here health promotion is under primary prevention, and preventing of exposure is also this also under primary prevention and preventing this. So under primary prevention, the activities are done to prevent disease before the occurrence of disease in our body. So those activities under primary prevention are activities which are done before the occurrence of disease. It keeps the disease process from becoming established by eliminating the cause of disease or increasing resistance to disease. Secondary prevention. Secondary prevention is the early diagnosis and management to prevent complications from a disease. It includes steps to isolate cases and treat or immunize contact to prevent further epidemic outbreaks. So when we say secondary prevention, unlike primary prevention, these prevention activities are performed after the occurrence of disease, after a person gets the disease. So their objective is preventing. Their activity is early diagnosis and management, so to prevent complication of the disease and transmission to another person, to avoid epidemics or outbreaks. So we isolate the case and then we treat that case, that patient, or we give immunization to contact to prevent further epidemic outbreak. The third and final prevention is tertiary prevention. Tertiary prevention involves activities directed at the host but also at the environment in order to promote rehabilitation, restoration and maintenance of maximum function after the disease and its complication have stabilized. Providing for example for a paraplegics or for a patient who is paralyzed, for example, our tertiary prevention will be providing wheelchair, providing special toilet facility because the person cannot move, and another transportation service. So this activity is done after the failure of the primary and secondary prevention. So we failed at the primary prevention, and at the second prevention we didn't treat the patient very well. So for example, for polio, during primary prevention we should have the person maybe should have personal hygiene, good nutrition and other activities. Then on the secondary prevention, the person should have been treated for polio. But after if the patient didn't get this prevention activities, we proceed to the tertiary, so the patient will suffer from polio related paralysis. So we will provide him wheelchair and other services. Rehabilitation, it is part of tertiary activity. Tertiary prevention, it's the process of restoring a person's social identity by reposition of his or her normal roles and functions in society. It involves the restoration and maintenance of the patient's physical, psychological, social, emotional, and vocational abilities. Interventions are directed towards the consequence of disease and injury. So these activities aimed at restoring and maintenance of the patient's normal life, his physical, psychological, social, emotional, and work-related or vocational abilities. Determinant is the term used to describe factors that cause disease or factors that contribute to the generation of a disease. When you say determinant, there are a lot of determinants depending on disease. It could be ecological factors or environmental factors or the host factor. For example, the host factor, the behavior of the person. It could be lack of physical activity, excessive alcohol consumption, risky sexual behaviors. For example, those host factor determinants, or ecological factors like microorganisms like malaria, protozoal. For example, for malaria disease, it could be Plasmodium. Plasmodium species like Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium vivax. These ecological agents are also responsible. And from the environment, for example, for malaria vector, for example, the presence of mosquitoes, or for diarrhea disease, for example, house flies. These environmental factors affect also generally included under determinant. Epidemic or outbreak is the occurrence in a community or region of cases of an illness, specific health-related behavior or other health-related event clearly in excess of normal expectancy. When a disease or illness occurs in excess of the normal expectation, for example, let us take malaria disease. For example, in a given region, let us say the malaria cases 1,000 per month, but during some outbreak it could raise up to, for example, 20,000 or 30,000. So during that time, we say that epidemics or outbreak have occurred. Epidemic and outbreaks, they are used interchangeably, but epidemic is used for a large geographic distribution, unlike outbreak. There is also another term, pandemic. When we say pandemic, it is global disease, but epidemic is more restricted to smaller areas. Health outcome. Health outcome, when we say health outcome, it is a result of a medical condition that directly affects the length or quality of a person's life, and could be, the health outcome could be either cure, the person will recover normally to his normal status, or could have morbidities, for example, like paralysis or other diseases, other outcome like paralysis or blindness, or it could be mortality, that means death. So this is the health outcome. It is another key term of public health. Okay, when we see the mission of public health, according to United States Institute of Medicine, the mission of public health is fulfilling society's interest in assuring conditions in which people can be healthy. World Health Organization states that the mission of public health is to provide maximum benefit for the largest number of people. This is maximum possible benefit to the largest possible number of people. These are the missions of public health. Okay, when we see the history of public health, the history of public health goes back to almost as long as the history of civilization. The possible traditions during civilization may be taboos against waste disposal within communal areas or near drinking water sources, rites associated with burial of the dead, and communal assistance during birth. Below are some of the public health events down the timeline. Now we will see some major events, public health events. In 1700 BC, the Code of Hammurabi, rules governing medical practice, occurred during 1500 before Christ. Mosaic law established about personal, food, and camp hygiene, segregating, for example, lepers where religious duty was regarded as a duty. In the 500 BC, Greeks and Romans practiced community sanitation measures. In 1840s, Public Health Act of 1848 was established in the United Kingdom. And in 1854, John Snow identified the source of cholera, waterborne cholera in London, that the Broad Street pump was responsible for the cholera that occurred in London in the late 19th century. And John Snow, by the way, he is regarded as the father of epidemiology, modern epidemiology. And another major event is in 1946, World Health Organization is established. When we see public health pandemic in the history, in 1918 there was influenza. As I told you previously, when you say pandemic, it is the occurrence of epidemics throughout the world. So when you see some of the pandemics in the history, in 1918 influenza occurred in the world, and 500 million people infected worldwide in 1918. In 1955, polio vaccine was introduced in 1955, and the eradication initiative for polio was launched in 1988. In 2001, millions of people were living in HIV/AIDS with HIV/AIDS worldwide. Recently, as we know, in 2019, COVID-19 was a major public health topic even until now, and it is a worldwide airborne pandemic. When we say some of the disasters, the Black Days, whose origin is in Asia, spread by armies of Genghis Khan. World pandemic kills 60 million people. That is one third to half of the population of the Europe. In September 2001, public health surveillance conducted after the 1911 terrorist attack in US. And Hurricane Katrina, the hurricane disaster occurred in US. Emergency services, public health surveillance, and disease treatment were provided. So these are the major disasters of public health here. When you see preventions through policies of public health, we find Book of Leviticus, which was occurred in 1500 BC before Christ. It is the world's first written health code. And tobacco laws banning smoking in public places also established down the timeline. Obesity, food labeling, and promotion of physical activity also were introduced as a policy to decrease obesity. Now we will see public health approach. The first activity in public health is surveillance. Then we will identify the risk identification. Then the intervention, evaluation, and finally implementation. In the surveillance, we say what is the problem. Then during risk identification, we ask what is the cause, and during intervention evaluation, we ask a question that says what works and how do you do it is the question under implementation. So as you see from the first to the last, when we go in public health approach, we go from the problem to response. After identifying the problem, we will solve the problem. If we take the case of cholera that occurred in London, cholera, it is a fatal intestinal disease which was rampant during the early 1800s in London, causing deaths to tens of thousands of people in the area. This is a cholera bacteria that is responsible for the cause of cholera disease. It is a diarrheal disease. Cholera was a common through thought to be caused by bad air from rotting organic matter, which is a wrong idea. But the father of epidemiologist John Snow is best known for his work tracing the source of the cholera outbreak and is considered the father of modern epidemiology. When we use the public health approach for the case of cholera, we say first of all what is the problem. We do surveillance. We do the epidemiology part at the first stage. So what John Snow did is first he identified a cluster of cholera case in London in 1940. This spot shows the disease. This map shows the part of London, and the spots are the disease. So he saw a cluster of cholera case at some place here. Then he tried to identify the risk. What is the cause? Cluster of cholera case and main pump site location. This one is rectangular area is pump site location, and there is association between around here. There is a lot of clusters of these around this pump location. Then he went to intervention evaluation. That means what works best. Through continuous research, Snow understood what preventions were required to stop exposure and the contaminated water supply on larger scale and stop exposure to the entire supply of contaminated water in the area. Finally, he implemented how do you do it. John's research convinced the British government that the source of cholera was water contaminated with sewage. Core functions of public health. The three core functions of public health are: the first one is assessment, the second one is policy development, and the third one is assurance. In the assessment part, we collect, analyze, and make available information on healthy communities. On the second part, or policy development, we promote the use of scientific knowledge based in policy and decision making. And the third part is ensure provision of services to those in need. For example, when we take the case of tobacco at government levels, for example, at local government level, the assessment part is to report on local tobacco use, and the policy development core function will be local law prohibiting smoking in bars, and the assurance is resources to help smokers quit in multiple languages. The 10 essential services of public health. So the first one is monitoring health, the second is diagnosis and investigation, the third is informing, educating and empowering, the fourth is mobilizing community partnership, the fifth is developing policies, the sixth is enforcing laws, the seventh is linking to provide care, the eighth is assuring a competent workforce, the ninth is evaluation, and 10 is doing research. So these are the 10 essential services of public health. Uh, the first two essential services, which are monitoring health and diagnosing and investigating, they are under assessment for function, and the other three, informing, educating, empowering, mobilizing community partnership, and developing policies, they are under policy development core function. Whereas the other four essential services are under assurance, which are enforcing laws, linking to provide care, assuring competent workforce individuality. But research lies at the center, and it is common for the three core functions for the assessment, policy development, and assurance. It is only essential services which is shared by the three core functions. When we see public health core sciences, it includes 5 core sciences: prevention activities, epidemiology, laboratory, informatics, surveillance. These are the 5 core public health core sciences. Now we'll see community health versus clinical medicine, their difference. When we say community health, it refers to the health status of a defined group of people and the actions and conditions, both private and public or government, that promote, protect, and preserve their health. Whereas clinical medicine is concerned with the diagnosis and treating disease in individual patient, unlike community health. Community diagnosis talks about the not individual but the larger group, the group of people, to the community. But clinical medicine it focuses on individual patient, treating individual patients. Clinical medicine, it has evolved primarily from medical and nursing service to involve a highly complex team of professionals. Finally, we will see the major disciplines in public health. Starting from nutrition. Nutrition is the science of food, the nutrients and other substances therein, their action, interaction, and balance in relation to health and disease. Reproductive health is a state of complete physical, mental, social well-being, not only the absence of disease or infirmity in all matters relating to reproductive system and to its function and process. So RH or reproductive health is health regarding our reproductive system and its functions and processes. The third major discipline in public health is environmental health. The basic approach to environmental control is first to identify specific biologic, chemical, social, and physical factors that represent hazard to health or well-being, and to modify the environment in a manner that protects people from harmful exposures. The principal components of environmental health are water, sanitation, and waste disposal, etc. The other major discipline in public health is health education. Health education, it is defined as a combination of learning experience designed to facilitate voluntary actions conducive to health. It is an essential part of health promotion. We said that in health promotion it is a vast, and it is part health promotion by itself is part of primary prevention, as we discussed earlier, and it includes health education, applying clothing, food, shelter, and education here. So health education is part of health promotion, and it includes learning experience, providing knowledge to the community regarding good health. Epidemiology is a study of frequency, the frequency, distribution, determinants of disease, and other related states or events in specified populations. The application of this study is to determine the promotion of health and to the prevention and control of health problem is evident. Health economics is concerned with the alternative use of resource in health services sector with efficient utilization of economic resources such as manpower, material, and financial resources. So, health economics, it is all about using wise utilization, efficient and effective utilization of health care resources. It could be manpower or material or even time, resource or resource. So health economics is all about this. The other is biostatistics, the other major discipline in health. Biostatistics is the application of statistics to biological problems. Application of statistics especially to medical problems, but its real meaning is broader. Health service management is another discipline. It is getting people to work harmoniously together and to make efficient use of resources in order to achieve objectives. So, health service management is applying management activities in the health service, and it includes a lot of activities, management activities, including planning, organizing, controlling, leadership, and other activities to achieve our health objectives, health goals, by wise utilization of our resources. Finally, the other one is ecology. Ecology is the study of the relationship among living organisms in their environment. Human ecology means the study of human groups as influenced by environmental factors, including social and behavioral factors. So, ecology is the relation between human being and other organisms and our surrounding environment. It could be plant or animal, and chemical and physical factors. So this is ecology. Research is another major discipline. Research is a conscious use action to acquire deeper knowledge or new fact about scientific or technical subjects. It is a systematic investigation towards increasing the knowledge. It aims at the discovery and interpretation of facts, revision of accepted theories or laws in the light of new facts or practical application of such new theories or laws. Or research, it is all about finding new knowledge or solving problems by using existing knowledge or facts. So we solve our health problems. For example, why malnutrition is prevalent here? What is the cause of, for example, malnutrition in a specific area under 5? For example, under 5 wasting or stunting. Yes, we try to identify the cause. So also we can acquire deeper knowledge, new knowledge, by doing research. The other is demography. Demography is the study of population, especially with reference to size and density, fertility, mortality, growth, age distribution, migration, and the interaction of all of those with social and economic conditions. So time is up. It is all about we get almost everything about public health, and don't forget to subscribe, like, end this video and stay up to date. Ciao.